The excitement surrounding the upcoming X-Men reboot is palpable, and director Jake Schreier is at the center of it all, hinting at what fans can expect from this highly anticipated Marvel Cinematic Universe (MCU) film. After the previous iteration of the X-Men from 20th Century Fox makes an appearance in Avengers Doomsday, Marvel is gearing up to introduce a fresh take on this iconic superhero team in Phase 7, which many enthusiasts are dubbing the Mutant Saga. In a recent conversation with Empire, Schreier, who was brought on board following the positive reception of his work on Thunderbolts, shared some tantalizing insights about the project. While he remains tight-lipped about specific plot details, he expressed his enthusiasm, stating, "I can't say anything about it, but we've started work on X-Men, and that's obviously very, very exciting." He elaborated on how his experiences from Thunderbolts are shaping his approach to the X-Men, noting, "There are so many things that I didn't know about before I started Thunderbolts. The biggest learning curve for me was the proportion of the action to the more emotional, character-driven scenes. Even though it's more shooting days than I've ever had, they get eaten up quite quickly by the action stuff. By the time we got to the end of it, it felt like, oh, now I feel like we get how to do this a little bit better." The X-Men's long-awaited debut in the MCU. Since Marvel Studios took over 20th Century Fox, fans have been on the edge of their seats, eagerly anticipating the arrival of both the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. While the Fantastic Four have already made their mark in the MCU, hints of the X-Men have been sprinkled throughout various Marvel titles. For instance, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier introduced Madripoor, a location well known in X-Men lore. Additionally, characters like Miss Marvel and Namor have been identified as mutants within the MCU. The introduction of adamantium, the nearly indestructible metal that encases Wolverine's skeleton in Captain America: Brave New World, further fuels the excitement. Not to mention the multiverse references to the X-Men in films like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, The Marvels, and the upcoming Deadpool Wolverine, all leading up to the grand event in Avengers Doomsday. Fans will have to wait until 2028 for the X-Men film to hit theaters, a date that coincidentally marks the 20th anniversary of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This long-awaited introduction is expected to set the stage for an epic team-up in Avengers Secret Wars, which means casting announcements for the X-Men may take some time to surface. Nevertheless, rumors are already swirling about potential actors like Margaret Qualley and Harris Dickinson being considered for significant roles. Given that the X-Men have been a cornerstone of Marvel's comic book universe for decades, the MCU has a wealth of stories and characters to draw from. In fact, the narrative surrounding the X-Men could easily fill an entire three-phase saga, barely scratching the surface of the franchise's vast potential. Despite some recent films, like The Fantastic Four: First Steps and Thunderbolts, underperforming at the box office, positive word of mouth has helped restore audience confidence after a few lackluster entries in the franchise. With upcoming titles like Spider-Man: Brand New Day and 2 new Avengers films poised to be major box office successes, the groundwork is being laid for the X-Men to usher in a promising new era for the MCU. But here's where it gets controversial. Are fans ready for a new interpretation of the X-Men? Or do they long for the familiar faces from the previous films? What do you think? Are you excited about the direction this reboot is taking? Or do you have reservations? Share your thoughts in the comments.